Do you really love yourself? Are the things that you're doing, the people that you're hanging out with, and the places and the circles that you're traveling in, does that reflect a person that actually loves yourself? If you love yourself, why would you want those type of people? You know what they're saying about you behind your back. You know they're jealous and envious of who you are, the things that you got going on in your life and your career. You know that they don't like you. And they've made it clear. They've sent you every sign imaginable that they could possibly send you. And because you're so desperate to have people around you and in your life, you continue to go back. You continue to show up to everything they invite you to, knowing what they're saying about you.
Know your worth. Anytime you look outside yourself to determine your value, you are looking in the wrong place. Look inside yourself. You know your worth. Your value is inside you. Nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can take it away because it's yours. When you look to others for validation or signs of significance, you weaken yourself. They don't know you. You know you. When you want approval from others, you weaken your resolve. When you need approval from others, you go further from your truth. When you need approval from others, you do things for all the wrong reasons. Your value is inside you. Know your worth. Don't let anyone else out there ever tear you down. Build yourself back up. Don't let other people put their self-doubt in you. It's their doubt, not yours.
I want a bunch of people to just be alone, at home doing nothing, with no friends, no family, and nothing to do. I'm saying that at this point, you are old enough and mature enough to understand the difference in good people and bad people. And when you're hanging out with negative, dark, and dysfunctional people, you cannot expect yourself to go to sleep at night and rest. You cannot expect yourself to feel good about your day when you're including negative and dysfunctional people in your day. So what you grew up with. So what their childhood friends. So what their family. We have a responsibility to walk in the direction of peace. I want to laugh. I want to smile. I want to enjoy myself. I actually want to feel good about the people that are around me. You have that as a choice. You actually do. You don't wake up in the morning and negativity, dysfunction, problems, and issues just randomly pop up. These are the people that you have decided to include in your life. So the outcome of your day, your hour, your minute, your week, your month, and your year is always draining, always dysfunctional, and always crazy. Because these are the type of people you've decided to include in your day-to-day life. You know how many packages you got in heaven with your name on it? They got sent back. This is real talk, man. This is how it works. Being successful, y'all, is not a magic trick. You have to learn the principles of success. You can be successful at anything. You really can, man. I don't have no education. I'm not really like school smart, none of that. I got a lot of people work for me, got degrees. God has an incredible life for you. All you got to do is ask him for it. Be willing to put in the work. But now this work part is hard. Success is hard. But let me ask you a question. Ain't not being successful hard too? So now which hard you want? You want the hard with some options and some benefits, or you want the hard where ain't nothing going on? I have a responsibility to peace. What does that mean? It means that I wake up in the morning People are calling, texting, inviting me here, inviting me there. I have an opportunity. I have a choice. Very important word. I have a choice to decide who and what and where I want to go. What do I want to experience in my day? Because you're inviting me doesn't mean I want to show up. Because you're calling me doesn't mean I'm going to call you back. Because you want me to be there doesn't mean that I want to be there. Because we're family, because we're friends, because we grew up together doesn't mean that I want to be a part of any and everything that you want me to be a part of. Why? Because my experience with you hasn't necessarily made me feel good about my life or my experience at the end of every night. Because you go to sleep at night doesn't mean you're resting. Because you close your eyes at night and you're asleep physically doesn't mean that you're actually resting. The reason that you don't rest is because while you're awake, everything and every body that's in and around your life is so full of issues, problems, insecurities, dysfunction, negativity. Your mind is and your spirit is in turmoil. It's issues and problems. All of this is going on all day, every day. So when you go to sleep at night, you're not resting.
So you can turn the lights on. The reason why I wanted to play that is that in this market that we're in and the environment, when I was growing up, we didn't have the social media that you guys have right now. And it's nothing but negativity. If you're going to run your business listening to the news, listening to social media, listening to people that aren't in the business, that pretend that, how many times you run into your clients or you go to a social gathering and they're talking real estate and they think they know it better than you. It's common that you're going to get, and then they're going to tell you that what's going on. Well, guess what? Real estate goes on. It doesn't stop. You've got death, divorce, job transfer. And we talk about this all the time. If you're an older person, you don't care about interest rates. You're 80%, 80 years old. You don't care about 30 grand, 25,000. It's irrelevant. You're not taking it with you. You want to be with your kids. So you have to focus in on staying positive. And on top of that, it's really important that you surround yourself with the right people. There's a lot of toxicity in there. And even if we talk about Think and Grow Rich, it's one thing we do. It's our fundamental of what we do. Think and Grow Rich, his whole thing was surrounding himself with people that were successful. So we're going to be teaching that later. And I invite you guys to get involved in that. If you haven't read the book, you should read the book. But you need to surround yourself with a group that's going to support you, because this job is hard. Top agents, including myself, have down days. I know it's hard to believe, but it's not always perfect. So you need people to pick you up. Brandon's my accountability partner. There's times that I'm not hyped on my job anymore. I'm getting older. I've been doing this 21 years. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get up every day and go. But when you surround yourself with a good group and you guys are doing positive things, your blinders are up to the negativity and you're just pushing forward and it's positive. Like, for example, where's Leanne? Leanne, is she there? Oh, how's your business going?
Great.
How long have you been in the business?
I started at the end of March.
End of March. Did you have any real estate experience at all before that? Nothing? Zero. And you decided to jump into an advanced real estate group.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that it helped you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How many sales have you done since March?
I'm closing my 7th today. I have 2 listings.
That's a big accomplishment, guys. I mean, and she's got, what do you have in the pipeline?
Got a buyer from Santa Barbara. We're at 1.2, looking in Ventura, and Juana and I actually just door knocked yesterday in Big Sky. And we have a buyer, or she has a buyer, but I'm just helping her trying to get a listing. And someone's like, yeah, we've actually thought about it. So we got her contact information. I sent her comps last night. So if we get it, it would just be off the market as fast as we could to get her buyers in.
So one thing that Brandon and I came up with the idea one day, we said, we work for different offices. We have our own agents. And we have different structures to the agreement of how we mentor people as far as our agreement with them. And then eventually we just said, you know what? There's plenty of money to go around. We don't need to, it's all mine, it's all mine, it's all mine. We said, we need to work as a team. And that's why you see Juana, who's my mentee, and Leanna's, Brandon's mentee, door knocking together. Because it's not fun door knocking. And I'll tell you, yesterday, it was freezing out there. Freezing. I thought it was going to rain. I personally would be like, hell no, I'm not getting out of bed. So both of them, what do? They go door knocking. And they are about to get a potential listing. They found the potential place that our clients needed that wasn't out there. It's not on the MLS. So their hard work is going to pay off. But they're not listening to the news. They're not listening to the people that are saying it's not, there's no business out there. They're not going home and just sitting on a couch waiting for the phone to ring, giving up, throwing in the towel. During COVID, everybody told me it's over. You can't work. I was kicking butt in COVID. I didn't stop one time. I was getting yelled at. What are you putting signs out? Are you crazy? There's a virus going on. I'm like, no. It's like, here's the thing. You're a professional. I mean, would you say that your clients need you? Right? They need you, right? They need your advice. Why? Why do you think that? Share with me. Why do you feel that your clients need you?
So my philosophy in real estate is that my clients aren't paying for a realtor. They're paying for a leader. They're buying my value. So it's my fiduciary responsibility. It may not be in the contract to provide them with that value and that leadership, no matter where they're going in the transaction, because they might be building a house, might be buying a house. Heck, right now I was dealing with the house. They were losing the house and I knew it and they didn't want to tell me. And you have to build that rapport and that leadership with them so that there's full transparency and that things don't fall out of escrow. So that's
would you say that you educated yourself in the process of real estate over time?
Yeah, even to this day, there's things that I know I don't know and I have to learn. And it's,
So you probably have you probably know way more than the average typical person in real estate. You're a true professional in your job.
I can
Train yourself, you know what you're talking about. So why is it in a crisis that everybody disappears when they need you the most? Why do people do that? Fear. That's the time you need to step up. Everyone else is in fear. If you become if this ship is sinking and there's not one person that's a leader, everybody drowns. It's your time. This is your time. You need to step up right now. And believe me, it's going to be easier for you because 80% have quit and they're going to quit. I saw it. I was at an event last night and he was a lender, the peak guy here. And he goes, I haven't been to a meeting in 4 or 5 months. And I haven't done, he goes, what are you doing? He's nothing. He's just done. So if you check out, you're going to check out. And you're not only letting yourself down, you're letting your clients down because they need you right now. 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now. Just came out yesterday. 64. That means it's not getting any better right now. You're going to see as inflation keeps picking up and we go through these interest rate hikes and, not to get political, but the government is trying to freeze and slow down the real estate market. Well, guess what? I've seen this before. Seen it in 2008. I've seen 3 of these waves. 2008, car sales start happening. Lenders, realtors are not buying cars. Contractors, You think you want to remodel your home when you're 64% are living paycheck to paycheck? Hell no. No painting, no painters. It's across the board of every industry is going to be impacted by real estate stopping. You need to be prepared for the short sales. They've already doubled. So that sounds like a scary thing, right? Short sales. Who's done short sales here? Anybody? Okay, so we've got 3 or 4 people. I know Laura's doing one right now already. The banks don't even know how to do short sales right now. They're not staffed to do their short sales right now. So your short sales should be called a long sale. For those of you who don't know, a short sale is when you sell the house for less than it's worth. You negotiate with the bank. It's a process. You're asking the bank to eat cash. But I was doing tons of them. Now it sounds scary, sounds impossible. How many of you felt totally petrified when we switched to the RPR, the new RPR, the new purchase agreement? I mean, it was scary, right? Now you don't even think about it. It's like it's nothing. Short sales will become that way to you. But if you can get ahead of it before everybody goes through that freak out mode where they have to learn it, you can educate yourself before that happens. You're going to have all those sales before the other people start beginning to learn how to do it. And there's people that are salivating right now. There are agents that have been around the block. They're like, oh my God, finally, it's my market. And they're going to be dropping and knocking and doing whatever already. It's already happened. All I'm saying is prepare yourself, and you need to stay with a group that's going to be supportive. Because the other thing that happens is as you become successful, people want to knock you down. There's an innate quality about humans that they don't like people succeeding. It's terrible. So that's, again, going back to thinking to rich, you have to let go of envy, greed, jealousy, or you're never going to be successful. It's in all of us. Even when I started, I remember there was a low point in my business. And somebody would come in, they go, oh, I just sold $3 million house and another 2 million. And you're going, keep it yourself, buddy. Like, I got nothing, you know, and you're upset about it instead of being happy for that person. If you're feeling that way, like just starting to fall into this tunnel of darkness, you don't realize it, but you got this face on you that nobody wants to do business with. I guarantee you guys can look around the room with the people you work with, and you know when they're in a bad mood. Who's going to want to work with someone like that? If they don't have confidence in themselves and the environment and the way they feel in the market that we're currently working in, it's not going to work. So our product is our service. It's not just homes. It's our product is our service. So I'm actually going to skip this whole thing. It's funny how I bounce from this whole thing.
Good. Do you mind if I
Yeah, go ahead.
share a few things real quick? So thank you guys all for coming in. And I'm really excited that you get to experience what I feel has been a blessing in my life the second that I met Ken Grech. And I was actually placed in the Wood Ranch office to be the associate manager. He was a previous director of marketing for Troop Real Estate. And I knew Ken, I remember seeing his ads. I was like, all right, now I get to meet the hotshot Ken Grech, right? And but what was really cool is as we started talking about marketing and the job and kind of what I was hired for, it didn't take very long before the conversation shifted. And I just asked him, I said, hey, look, just graduated law school. They're hiring me as a young leader here in this organization with agents that have been doing business longer than I was alive. I think I was like 32, 33 at the time. And I was like, I don't know if they're going to take me seriously. Like, I don't know what I have to offer them. You know, they've been doing it longer than I've been alive. And what was interesting, he was just like, get that out of your head. And that's one thing you'll find out about Ken. It's no bullshit. Straight to the point. Always tell it how it is. But what I've found as you try to figure out, because what the philosophy he's talking about is called the Mastermind Principle. And you should be identifying, if you're taking notes and you're looking, identify at least 5 people that you know you need to keep in your life that are going to help you accomplish what you're trying to do. You should write them down and think about that and take time. Whether you can't think of the names right now, hopefully it starts coming to you because you've been thinking about these things. And Ken showed me the book, and I asked him, I said, what books do you recommend? Trying to learn how to be a strong leader, right? John Syed, he gave me other recommendations, and that was like a year and a half later, but I asked Ken first, no hesitation, Think and Grow Rich. Like, cool, sounds good. Sounds like a good book, Think and Grow Rich, right? Hands it to me. I don't know how quickly I just devoured that book. Again, just coming right out of law school, I'm just a sponge absorbing it. And so he sees it, he's like, damn, you got through that pretty quick, you know, and then so we start talking, but it wasn't just to read it. He saw that I was trying to apply this into my life. And so we start talking, and it's kind of the test. And just in case you don't know, we give that test out to each and every one of you as well when we say, hey, read Think and Grow Rich. And we see who actually finishes the book and who can only make it through the first couple chapters. And you'll see that you don't realize, but this helps show us who's serious about themselves and what they want to do with this business. And it's a good test. So if you're looking to build a team, I recommend not only that you read it for yourself, but that it is something that you mandate for the people that you're trying to see who's going to be a good fit for your team. Because the traits he talked about in the philosophy, and it was mentioned in that video, is the principles of success. It's a science. It's understood, just like what's going to happen if I drop this pin. Right? If I let go, there's a law of gravity every time it's going to fall. It's the same principles with success, that if you don't have that positive mental attitude, it's called PMA, right? You don't have people who are going to check you when you need them to check you, not coming to a place to try to put you down, but trying to get your light to shine, because that's what's needed right now. And that's the reason why our agents who tap in, who plug in, who open up to this, all succeed. It is duplicatable. It all happens, but it happens when you're ready for it, when you're coachable, when you have that right mentality and mindset, you're open to it and you plan and you have a vision. We understand it. And a lot of it is rooted from that book. I just wanted to make sure that I touched on it, but more importantly, how important he's been to me over all these years. And I'm just grateful that he's sharing this with more people. And there's big names that you hear of, and I hate even throwing it out there, but names like Tina Hare, who's #1 in the world, that, you know, a lot of people give credit to different people. She almost quit the business. This was the guy that straightened her out. He's the guy who straightened a lot of people out, and he cares about a lot of people. He does a good amount of his own business on top of it. He doesn't need to do this, but finally, when I had to kind of straighten him out and pay the favor back, I told him, I said, bro, you're not as happy as you should be because you're not doing what God's given you as in terms of blessings. And that's your ability to teach. He's like a master sensei in terms of teaching his craft that he studies, he analyzes, he breaks down what works and what doesn't work. So that's what we are going to get into, is the open house. And that right now, between door knocking and open houses, are the two sources that are critical to getting business going right now and setting you up for success coming into this beginning part of the year. So a few agents have reached out to me about business planning. It's been awesome sitting down with them. Those of you that haven't, reach out to me. Let's set it up. Let's get it set up. Don't wait until January. We need to get it in now, okay? And make sure that we're planning. And don't worry if you don't know and you haven't done it before, we'll work on it together, okay? So let's get that set up. But Ken, go ahead. I just wanted to give that quick little plug. And then also, sorry, Tamir's here as well. Tamir runs Peak Finance, okay? Tamir's, he's our guest here. He brought bagels for everybody, but more than just bringing bagels to feed us, right? Tamir, we've had a chance to talk. A couple weeks ago, I spoke with him and his partner. I'm very picky with loan officers, very picky. Anybody who knows me on the lending side knows I don't open up to anybody. And I can tell really quick, he means what he says. He's knowledgeable. He knows what he's doing. So, you know, if you get a chance, get to know Tamir, his team. He's going to have some words at the end of this. And, you know, I apologize because I can already tell we're running late. So it may go, we plan, just so you all know, an hour and a half of this. And this is typically when we do kids trainings, we get into a lot of not just the fluff or the big picture, we get into a lot of details. So we'll take a break probably at about the 45-minute mark. And you'll get, you know, if you need to make phone calls, restroom, do what you got to do. And we'll wrap up for those 45. And then Tamir's going to have about 20 minutes at the very end to share what's going on the lending side and as well as some of the plans and how we plan to partner up in the future. Does that sound good? Any questions before we jump into this? Any thoughts or feelings? Yes.
I'm excited I made the move. And I'm
Oh.
excited to be here. And I saw something on Facebook with my last owner from Rodeo, and it was heavy. And I always ask out for a sign, and you know, I drag my feet coming here, but like I was sharing with you, I'm happy. I was excited to come here this morning, and I'm thankful for the both of you and everybody in this room. Jen, all of you guys, you're wonderful people, and it's pretty cool to be a part of it. So thank you.
Candace, and I apologize. Candace, let's all welcome Candace.
Oh, thank you.
The post that our previous owner just put out, is it okay if I share it?
Sure, sure.
They just let go of 100 agents. They just said, here, see ya, because you're not producing. Right?
Mhm.
She had heard that too long ago, a few months ago. The owner of the company saying, you know, market's changing, you need to get another job. So,
To work more.
and we just started talking. We just started speaking. We know each other. I coach her daughter in baseball. And that's actually how we were connected. There were a few people trying to, you know, plug us together and look at working together. So excited to have her in this office, be part of our team. Candace is phenomenal. But there's a lot of agents and brokerages. You're going to see this, and you're going to see it happen. So our whole thing is protecting our environment as much as we can. We want the right people here. Also, Liz, I know she's working on it, and it's great to see. Just if you haven't met Liz, Liz is phenomenal.
Oh,
And she works with Jen, and she's working on her license. You're going to be joining our team. Right?
yes, for
Don't
sure.
wanna just do
Yes.
Let's be joining our team as well. And we got a bunch of great agents here. I don't know. Does everybody know everybody in here? I just want to make sure I make some quick introductions. Maybelline, I don't want to put pressure on you verbally. Joining or not?
I think so.
What do you think? No. All right. So you need to read the book. You started reading the book,
So
right?
yeah, so far, yes.
So you got to be decisive. You got to take action.
I want to take action next Thursday. for
Okay,
sure.
next Thursday.
The numbers for some reason have like a meaning to me as well. So, and
Thursday's
this
an
place,
important day.
Thursday's my off day,
Okay.
and my son has a little school performance. So I would love to sign that day because the number 2 is very special for me. Year 22.
That's
December.
my wife's.
Oh.
Well, Maybelline, she'll be joining us too, and she's awesome. She's got the fire that I see, and yeah, all of it. We got a great group here, so we're gonna continue doing what we're doing, but I don't want to take any more. Ken, go ahead and rock it now.
Can't stand up for that long
pressure.
anymore.
It's your wheelchair. I'll bring it over.
Thank you. No, but you know, Brandon's one of my brightest shining star mentees that I've ever mentored. Few of them, Jesse, everybody there, but Brandon, when he started, he just was way ahead of the curve because of his law school education. So he came literally like a sponge, was listening. I was joking about it the other night, but I would go into his classes, he'd be giving my speech, and I'd be going, dude, you're taking my material. But it's a compliment. It's a compliment because not only has he learned everything quickly, he's added to that to hopefully surpass me. And that's what I want. I want the people that I educate to be better than me. That's a sign that I did a good job because they took fundamentals and went with it. But the reason why we keep bringing up that book is that you have to have a foundation in this business, and it has to be based off of ethics. You know, that's it. The client is number one, and you need to look at their best interest, not your paycheck. It's really, really difficult when you're struggling because you want to maybe make the deal close when it shouldn't, because it's not in their best interest. But I guarantee you that if you tell someone that that's not the right house for them because it really isn't, that you're gonna have a client for life. My business was built off of treating people that way, no matter how hard it was. No matter how easily I could have said, sign this, and they would have. But I've been doing this 21 years now. And I had months where I was closing 25 transactions a month. My phone was ringing every 4 or 5 minutes for 4 listing appointments, 4 listing or buyer appointments a day. I had 4 appointments, every mix of whatever. Closing 18, 20 million in GCI a month. You know, and I was sharp. It sounds like a lot. It was just me. I had a TC. But when you're working and you're flowing, and you're young, man, it was like a roller coaster ride. You'd get there at 8 in the morning and leave and get home at 8 at night. And me and my buddy that we were working, I had a partner guy, not, he wasn't my partner, but we work together, we do open houses together, we prospect together. We'd end up like at Fridays, we would grab a beer and we'd go, ugh. And as we started drinking, you know what would happen? We would solicit the guy next to us. And my buddy was a closer at the bar more than anybody. He put some drinks on it. He had a listing. I'm not kidding. I don't want you guys to meet him one day, but it was funny as hell. You got to make it fun. You got to have balance. You have to have balance in this business. That year I was selling like that was in 2004. I go to the Century, I work for Century 21 originally. I go to the award ceremony and the guy next to me, because at the time, all the Century 21 companies would go to one venue for their awards. So I go and I'm sitting at the top table because I was 35th in the nation in sales. Yeah. And the guy next to me was 18th and then number 9 and whatever, they're right next to me. So the guy who did double than me had a 3-piece suit, was like 300 pounds. And at the time he had pagers. It's like, and he's like, and I tell Brad, I go, it was like meeting Darth Vader. And I'm looking at this guy going, shit, this guy's gonna die. Like, and he did double what I did. And I went, hell no. That is not the life I want to lead. So I went home. I had just one son at the time. I literally jammed home, put him in the stroller, went to the park, and said, I ain't doing that. I'm not missing soccer games and this and that. You have to make a choice, because if you get this craft down, it's dangerous. You can go and you can close nonstop once you're good. But that means you never see your wife or husband. It means you don't see the soccer games. You don't do whatever. Many of times when I was starting out, we'd be packing up the truck to go, the SUV to go to Orange County for someone's birthday. And I get a call, come list my house. I said, have fun. And I would drop it and go. I was constantly dropping and going. And they'd be like, what the hell? Yeah. It's not, you have to have balance, your health. Gotta go to the gym, eat right. You gotta be sharp. But anyway, I don't mean to go 100% on that. What I wanted to talk about today had nothing to do with all this. Really, he asked me to come here, but I can't help it when I see all you guys that are in this new market to share that with you, because I want you to be the best you can be. You need to be in a group like this where you guys are helping each other and pushing through it. Even Jesse, Jesse's only been doing this a couple of years. His father came up to me and said, hey, what happened was my son played soccer with his brother. He calls me up, he says, hey, my son wants to be a realtor. Can you help him out? I'm the type of guy, when someone that I know asks me for a favor like that, I feel obligated. Like, yeah, no problem. He gets on the phone, he goes, oh, I don't even remember what he said to me. And I'm thinking, because I get those calls all the time. Well, I don't know how long after.
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
He comes in, he goes, hey, passed my test. Nice. He goes, I'm Jesse. I'm like, all right, kid, hey, nice to meet you. And I'm walking away and he goes, hey, you don't remember me, do you? And I go, no. He goes, I'm Barry's son. And he goes, we talked to him on the phone. I said, oh my God. And now I'm going, damn it. Now I gotta meet with this kid. So I pull him in my office because it's Barry's son. And Jesse is one of the hardest working kids I've ever met, and a heart of gold. And he is, the clients that he has, that he meets, they love him. He doesn't have the killer, charismatic, I'm gonna hot shot personality. So it's hard for him. And it was really hard for him. And I would just tell him. And I was pretty brutal with him. I don't hold back. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need. It's not, it doesn't work for everybody. They can't take it and they just leave. But what's the point? You can't take it. Why are we gonna waste time? And you gotta know, you gotta hear it. Even myself, I get constructive criticism like that. It's happened. It's hard. Nobody wants to hear their flaws, but you gotta listen. You gotta adjust, change with the times. But Jesse, what do you got going on right now?
Right now, I have 2 listings, one in Simi, one in Winnetka. We just opened escrow on my listing in Winnetka. I
Yay.
have, thank you.
How many buyers do you have?
4 right now.
4 new buyers.
3 are approved, 1's all cash up to 1.5 in the valley.
Yeah, real estate sucks right now. How long have you been doing this?
2 years full time, the end of this month.
How many did you sell your first year?
10.
10.
How old's Jesse?
How old are you, Jesse?
Just turned 23.
Leanna, how old are you?
Whoa. I just turned 20.
Uh-oh, she's getting up there, 28.
You're
Yeah,
40.
Let me share with you something. One time I was a recruiter, and I've worked with a lot of top people that of all ages, all cultures, all demographics. You can't look across the room and say that person's gonna be successful, that person's not. No way you're gonna figure it out. I've seen people that barely speak English. They look like they're 90-year-old, walking like this, and they're selling hundreds and hundreds of homes. You just don't know what someone has in them. So when I was recruiting, I had recruited someone that was elderly. And my broker says to me, what are you doing with that person? Well, that person was a superstar at one time when I knew it. I'm going to tell you something. Superstars are always superstars. They just don't feel like working. But if you light that fire into their ass, I don't care what age you are. I don't care if you're young or old or whatever. You can be successful. And I'm telling you, this woman right now, her husband passed away. She's 80-something years old. Will destroy any one of you guys on a listing appointment, guaranteed. And she's killing it right now still. She doesn't even want to work. She's retired, she's on, they keep calling her. But I will tell you, you go on, I've been on a listing appointment with her. And her tenacity and her skills are honed in like no other. So don't judge people on their age. Don't think that you can't do it because of your age. You know, if you're starting out new, rely on the company. It's like you're starting out. You can't say I sold this house. You can't say I did this. I can't that, but the company did. So you can say we did. We just closed this house down the street. We just sold this. We just did that. You know what happens when you say that? They're automatically going to switch it to you. They didn't hear we, they heard you, because we is you. So the success we teach, this company does. That's why you want a name brand company. A lot of these little boutique companies are all going to go to business. These little flyby EXPs and all that, they're going to die. They have no culture, no support, no marketing, nothing, no branding, nothing. And people that are selling high-end homes want something behind them that's going to survive. You're not going to put your life savings in Federico's bank account. You know, you want Chase Bank. You know what I mean? You need something that's been around that has some merit, and the culture and the teachers that are going to help you succeed. So that's why you're going to get that. So anyway, as the market's changing, now we can start the class. As the market's changing, you have to adapt to the market that's changing. So you have to know how to use your time. Obviously, open houses are not going to be as successful as they were before as far as traffic, but it doesn't mean they're not going to be successful. If someone comes to your open house now, it means they're serious and they're ready to buy. Before you had everybody wanted to buy, but you had a mix of people that are thinking about buying, maybe buying. If someone comes to your house right now, they probably want to buy. They're way more serious. It doesn't take, all you need is one or two. It's a numbers game. So you're gonna have to, but when you're picking your open house, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself in a place where you spent your whole day in a place that wasn't, you were setting yourself up for failure, is what I'm getting at. Because right now, the average home is going to be on the market for 2 to 3 months. No longer is it 1 or 2 weeks. So as the inventory will start to grow, you'll see that inventory start to tick up mid-January after the holidays. And slowly it'll tick up. Like for instance, in Simi, the inventory has been depleted for 10, 12 years. When I started in Simi, houses and condos and townhomes, we have 1,300 townhomes, condos, and houses on the market on a given week. You click on it. It got down to 32 last year. 32. Everything. Now it's at 117, 118, something like that, 120 maybe. You're going to see that go up. It's going to go 150, 160, then it'll hit 200, and it's going to go up. In a hot market, not the crazy hot market, but in a very active market, 500 to 600 homes on the market, condos, towns, everything. So we've never had this in history, such a low account of inventory. So everybody's saying, well, you're gonna have all these foreclosures. Really not. Everybody has equity. Why would it foreclose? Everybody has tons of equity. You know how much the houses have increased from what they bought? The people that made foreclose are the ones that bought in the last 2 years. Otherwise, they've got tons of equity. They got time. If they do come, it's going to be a while. You won't see foreclosures for 3 years. So don't expect for doom and gloom. That's the thing. A lot of agents are just waiting for negativity, and they're not working today's market. So you don't want to do that. The short sales are going to come because people are going to lose their jobs. It's a little bit different. That's going to come. And then you have what's called strategic default. You know what strategic default is? When you bought your house 2 years ago and you paid $1 million, and then a year later, the neighbor puts their house up for $750, and it's totally tricked out. And you're looking at yourself going, damn, that thing's completely remodeled with a pool. And I just paid $1 million, and it's going to cost me $300,000 to match what that looks like. Guess what? I'm going to buy that and bail out on mine, let it go. It's a strategic default. No reason to. They didn't even lose their job. They made it up. They stopped paying. You get a family member to help them. They buy that and let it go. I don't care. I don't care about my credit. Where am I ever going to get a house like that? I don't have 300. I can't save up 300,000. What do I care about my credit? That's the mentality that goes on. I mean, I sold, and that's the other thing that I want you guys to understand. Not that this, I don't want to say anything negative or contradictory to what the lender's going to say today. But a lot of lenders will say things that aren't necessarily accurate. Because every lender that you meet they work for a bank that has different overlays. So so their guidelines are different. So he operates under a certain guideline. Doesn't mean he may say you can't do this because of that. Doesn't mean you can't do it. So you have to be prepared to really understand loans and products and also guidelines. So when short sales start happening, you would assume if I just lost my home and I asked the bank to lose $300,000 that I can't buy a home, right? That's the assumption. Well, when 2008 happened, Countrywide went bankrupt or sold out and sold to Bank of America. The head executive there, who's making $650,000, comes up to me and says, I need to short sell my house. I lost my job. Short sell his house. He buys $1 million something house in San Diego at the same time. Qualified. Because in the guideline it said unforeseen circumstance, which is job loss, but he got a new job. It's okay. So you don't know. You have to educate yourself. Having that power behind you as an agent is going to drive you and make you successful in these down markets. So the other thing you want to look at right now is you need to look at this like the movie Moneyball. Does ever see that? Where they look at the analytics of things? You need to start tracking every single trend and thing that's happening in what's going on right now. So for your open houses, I want you guys to write these things down. I want you to track down the day you did it, the time. It's going to be a laundry list here. So number 2, I want you to track weather conditions. I want you to track the area that you did it. Number 4, the location. Now, what's the difference between area and location? So you can be in the best area, but the location could be by the train track or freeway. I want you to track how many signs you use. I want you to track your advertisement. Where did you advertise? Number 7, who came to the open house? What was the average age group? You know, the demographics that came to your open house. Was it a younger couple? Was it an older couple? So what are you seeing out there? I want you to track the traffic that you had. And then also track the traffic that came with agents. How many of those people that were coming to your open houses had agents versus not? I'm going to keep going on the list, but the reason why you're doing this is that you're going to start picking up in the current market that you're working in. What's out there? You know, if it's all young people coming, then you go, hey, I need to target young people because they're coming to my open house. If it's all people that just sold their home, they're looking for a move up home, I need to target them. If it's elderly people, I need to target them. So pay attention to that. And then if you're doing an open house in an area that's not producing, like Juana had to do one in Moore Park. She picked it up. This person said, you can do my open house. Well, Moore Park only lets you put up 5 signs. And they have to be tagged. And they have to be certain distance. And they can't have flags. Nobody can find her. So it's a waste of your time. That's what the tracking does. You're realizing what was stupid. Or I did it on President's Day and nobody came or everybody came. That's why you want to track that stuff so you can repeat it. You can repeat your success. So did we do number 9? Okay, number 10. How long has the house been active? And then number 11 coincides with that is what's the drop-off rate from when it went active? So what will happen is when you list a home, the first time you list it, the first week, you're going to get massive people in there because it's the first showing. So you also want to make sure that you don't allow showings, and you want to have your first showings at your open house. So try to target it that way. So that the day that you're doing it, you have an activity, you have people coming, there's energy there. As the open house, as your listing stagnates, your open houses will die, depending on the area. You know, if you're in a hot, in that you want to give it 3 or 4 shots because other things happen. You know, holidays, anything. So you want to get you need a sample platter before you can actually make a prediction or figure out it really was a dead open house. Okay, number 12. What day did you start marketing it? Number 13. What did you? No, excuse me. Number 13. Who did you invite, and who came? Who did you invite? Who came to the open house? Track that. Did you door knock? If so, what day? If you had an open house on Sunday, when did you door knock? Did you do it on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday? Realize the effectiveness of that. Who was there? Like if you call, if you're cold calling and you call at 7 in the morning and no one's answering, probably not a good idea to do it again. Number 15, was it on a holiday weekend? 16, was the seller home? 17, was there any distractions or annoyances? Because I want you to pay attention to that. When a seller's home, it impedes in you doing your job. When there's a dog barking at the house, right, Jesse?
Yeah.
Can't even talk. Can't even talk. So you want to prepare yourself for success in the following open house. Did you have someone with you? Number 19, how many appointments did you set? It's one of the most important. How many did you set? How many registered or signed in? So there's a difference when you're asking, what's the difference between that and the appointment? So the way and I'll get into it, but the way I do my open houses, and we'll get into the way of operating it. When I say set an appointment, I mean, we set the appointment. They're either going right now or they're going tomorrow or whatever. They're going to see a home. Registering means they just signed in and you didn't really set an appointment. So there's a difference there. Number 21, how many did you show in that day? How many houses did you show to the people that came to the open house? And we'll get into that, why that is a number here. Did you preview houses for that open house for switchers? You guys know what that means? I mean, Candace, you know what that means? No. So we're gonna get into that. Did you look at the comps in the area? Was the home priced properly? After you do it, let's say you do it for someone else or even yourself, was it priced properly? You think, what was the feedback? Or what are people commenting about? So that's the number 25, what's the feedback? And that's it. So these are, it's a lengthy thing to look at. Sounds ridiculous, right? But believe me, if you start thinking that way, I know you're not going to do all that. But if you start thinking that way, you will have a higher success rate at what you're doing. So even if you have to, let's say you're preparing for, you have an open house that's coming on Sunday. Read the list. You may not do all of it, but it's going to spark something in your head to prepare yourself better. So do that. So what I wanted to talk about is you guys missed the goals class that we had. It was a really good class. Even Brandon missed it. But I want our people, I don't know who's here, who's not going to be here, but the people that work for us, we're going to focus in this year on open houses. Number 1. Number 2 is going to be your SOI, your sphere of influence, and past clients. Number 3 can be something else that you would add to those 2. But the 2 fundamentals are going to be your sphere of influence. That's fine, they go together, and your open houses. The 3rd, I say you should do a farm because it coincides with what you're doing here. You can add farm connects to those 2. So I would have 3 things that I would do. And that's it. Open houses, your sphere, past clients, and a farm. But the reason why they go together is when you do an open house, you're door knocking, in a way you're farming. It's the easiest way to start a farm, is do the house that you're doing an open house at, especially if it's your listing. That could be the kickstart of your farm. So it coincides together. So if you're new, or even if you're not, these are going to be the money-making activities that you need to be doing. Because we're going into a more difficult market, you need to not be focusing on too much fluff. You need to be focusing on the money-making activities. And these are them. And people will say, open houses don't work. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. I had one year when I started, 80% of my business came from open houses. It was, if I do 10 now, I'm gonna sell something out of 8 of them. I guarantee you, if I have people in front of me. If I do 10 and there's no one there, it's not fair. But if I have someone in front of me doing 10 and want to see me set 3 or 4 appointments in one open house. So we will talk about that, because another class I teach, and I'm talk about it briefly, is $100,000 open house. How to make $100,000 in one open house. But it's ridiculous. You're door knocking. People don't even know you, right? It's pretty awkward and strange, but I'm not saying it's working because you have a purpose. We teach people how to door knock with a purpose, which is, we had a buyer. They went knocking yesterday, because they had a purpose, and it's successful that way. If you door knock randomly, you're not going to have a great success rate. If you door knock and you say, hey, I just listed this home down the street, we're going to be doing an open house, wanted to invite you. Do you know anybody who's thinking about moving or selling? They're going to be, hell yeah. How much is it selling for? They're excited, because people want to know what their neighborhood's doing. You have a purpose. Thus, your door knocking will be more successful. But think about it this way. You're doing an open house. Can I come in? Yeah. It's reverse door knocking. They're coming to you. Why would an open house be a failure? You think they're there because they want to buy a car? They want to buy a house. And the biggest mistake that people do is they go to work not wanting to work. So I teach this to my people. Sunday for me is super important. I've got 4 kids. 2 of them are in college, or one's already gone and one's in college, and I still have 2 at home. It is a big deal for me to spend time with my family. Big deal. Most important thing in my life. That's where I want to be. When I wake up, I want to go out to breakfast with them. I want to go to the soccer game. I want to go to sporting, whatever they're doing. I want to be there. It's the most fulfilling thing for me to do, period. And I'm sure it's probably a big deal for you guys as well. So if you're going to sacrifice that day, you're going to give up that day that is so precious to you, why would you go and half-ass it? Why would you go to that open house and go there? God, I can't believe I'm here. I can't wait till this is over. Why the hell am I even here? Go ahead, look around, and you're on your phone. Why did you do that? If you're going to go there like that, don't do it. Spend it with your family. You're wasting everybody's time. You're wasting the time of the people looking. You're wasting the time of the client that you're representing. Even if it's not your house, you have a responsibility to that house. You're wasting everybody's time and yourself. So you need to operate these open houses with a purpose. And I guarantee you, when you go there and you are working and you're in the right mentality, Juan is a natural at it. I'll tell you, I run into a lot of people and I compliment them differently because they all have different skill sets. And that's the beauty about when you work with Brandon and I, we can spot it right away. And Amelia, I'm sure, does the same thing. I know she does, because I've talked to her a few times. I've met her. She's got that same gift. But we know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And she's a natural. I've for the first time sat back and just let her welcome everybody. I've never seen someone so sweet, so endearing, that people come in and they're like, oh my God, I'm home. I feel so comfortable here. And so that is a gift, to be able to do that. So half the battle's over, making someone feel comfortable. And so you need to learn those skills. You need to learn how to present yourself that way. So anyway,
So you need to want to at your open house is what he's saying. To partner up, but it's leveraging and understanding and being real with yourself. If you're not getting the results at an open house, people get stuck, and this is why we keep talking about the book. You're like, well, I don't want to share with anybody. Yeah, you're not sharing anything. You got nothing, right? You have nothing to share. So change that. You don't have any clients. You're not you're not meeting anybody. You're not connecting with anybody. You have to take a hard look at the mirror and say, why is this not working? It's not the open house. It's not their fault. It's not the market's fault. It's our fault. And we have to understand it. So if we can't figure it out, that's the whole point of collaborating with other people. You're going to learn, you're going to shadow, you're going to work with them and work something out that's fair. But it's huge because that isn't my strength. At the beginning, meeting somebody who's walking in, getting them to sign in, I saw it very early on. I'm much more passive personally. I'm much more passive. So I rather have somebody, I've never done it with one, but I've had other agents. I know I've worked with Leanna, I've worked with others that are in here. And I typically will ask them, I'll say, Leanna, can you sign everybody in? And she will. And then that takes it off of me in terms of the relationship tension being high, where they're like, they just asked me to sign in. I didn't want to put my contact. So I'm just sitting back. And then when they come to me, I'll ask them a few questions. What brought you into the neighborhood, right? We start talking. Next thing you know, I can do my part, my strength, where they did their strength. So you have to look at that and understand as you're doing it. One of the other questions is, how many open houses on the weekend? Is it just one? Or is it like a Saturday, Sunday? Have you noticed a drop off? So say it's the very first open house, because that's always important as well. New listing, very first open house, right, is typically gonna have a certain drop. Well, what if you just do it on Sunday? Or you do it on Saturday and Sunday? And I've seen it both ways. I've seen it where it's been busy both days. I've seen it where it's busier one of the days, or Saturday gets everybody and Sundays nobody, So what do you recommend?
yeah, so that's the thing is, unfortunately, sometimes things just don't make sense. They just don't. Traditionally, Saturdays, back in the original days of open houses, nobody would come to an open house on Saturday. It'll waste your time. Everything's changed now as the real estate went crazy. Saturdays became just successful, if not more than the Sunday. But it depends. It depends on, I don't know if you've ever done any organized sports or something. You show up, like for me, I show up at the gym. I have a pickup game of basketball. One day I go there. It's the same time we always show up. There's 2 people there. One day I show up there, there's 20. Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. It's just people had a lot going on, and it just happened to be everybody had something going on. So you need a sample. You have to do a few. One thing that I found funny is one time, Jesse, I said, we had a vacant house and we had a few of us, and I said, okay, well, it's vacant. You run it for the morning, I'll run it at night. And he says, well, people won't want to come because the sign's going to be out there all day long. Nobody notices. They don't put a clock on your sign going up. They don't go, oh my God, it's still there. Oh my God, it's 8 o'clock, he's still there. Nobody's thinking about that. But it was successful at different periods throughout that day, and for whatever reason. I will tell you this, I've noticed a trend of like lunchtime, it dies. People are at lunch, church, whatever. So usually at the 1 to 4, I see it pick up between 2 and 3. And then I see then I see a drop off, and then when you're getting ready to leave, it picks up again. So it's always, and then you got to be conscious of the daylight savings. Nobody wants to be out at night.
I add a couple of things to that real quick. So just really fast. So there's a couple mistakes I see a lot of agents make. And one of the big things is as you do these analytics, you start tracking and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Stop coming up with reasons not to do things. Like as Ken's talking about, don't half-ass it. If you're going to do an open house, you're going to give up time from your family. I've met with a really big producing agent. She's like, oh, I'm only doing 2-hour open houses now. And I've heard other people say, I'm only doing 1 hour. They're going to come up my time. It's going to be like this. I have all these great open houses. I'm doing these awesome things, but I'm only going to do 2 hours. I'm going to do 1 hour. They're going to come during my time. It's the dumbest thing you can do, right? This is, you're gonna get more action at these open houses than you're gonna be coming into the office. But the difference of what Ken taught me, and when it all started kind of like matrix, like you start just figuring out how this whole thing works, there's a few things that you start understanding. And one of the keys is you're gonna work it, be prepared. It's focused effort. You're not going there randomly, even though there's randomness to it. You have a plan, you've been prepared, and you have an outcome that you know you're trying to accomplish while you're there. Now, it's not so strong and overbearing, like, oh, I gotta set an appointment, that you're scaring everybody away. It's gotta be a very natural thing, but you're organized in your mind in terms of what you're doing. So as you plan this next year, as you plan the week of what do I have to do this week, you have to be very focused with your efforts. You keep hearing money-making activities. You have to do, they're called MMAs, money-making activities every single day. If you're not setting at least I had a business plan, top agent yesterday. I said, all you have to do is set one appointment a day. You need to have conversations. And it's like, well, I want to farm, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying that we as agents pick activities that don't have a lot of rejection. We pick activities that's, well, I'm going to create a whole new marketing plan. I'm going to create a whole new this. I'm going to create a whole new that. All you need to do is figure out a way that you're going to meet the hardest thing, motivated buyers and sellers. And you got to find a way. And as Ken said, it's all-time low inventory. So the door knockers, the good ones, are going to pull, they're going to find them before they come and find you. You have to find them. And you got to be focused with that. But you also, getting back to the open house side, it's do it the right way, put in the time, stop talking yourself out. Nobody in here, even the busiest person in here, isn't too busy to do it the right way. So the agents that are successful are the hardest working agents. Ken, and I'm not just keep saying it just because he's here. I managed that office for over 4 years at the Wood Ranch, which was our top office out of all the offices that we had across Ventura County, Santa Clarita. It was the #1 office, #1 producers. Interesting enough, this guy showed up every single day, Monday through Friday, first one in, usually last one to leave, Monday through Friday. It's not coincidence. I'll pick on Jen. I've seen Jen and Liz. I've seen Jen in here more than anybody else. It's not a coincidence. She did open 6 million last month. It's not a coincidence that he continues every single year. I'll see him in 3 quarters do more business than 95% of the agents out there, right? He's not buying anything. And that's what everybody thinks. And they discount. It's, you need to show up. You need to come to work. Leanna's done that from day one. That's why she's doing what she's doing. It's her work ethic. It's her being coachable. It's her having a great attitude. It's her being that attractive person that people want to work with, that they want to collaborate with. You have to, so think about those things, but plan it out. And you need to commit to this. And don't make excuses. Figure out, what do I want? How am I going to do it? And it's like Steve Harvey said, I think it was Steve Harvey on there saying, you got it. Well, we got Steve Harvey here, right? Also
Yeah.
one of our new agents. We need to welcome. We got our own Steve Harvey. So good friend of Veronica Salazar. So you see, we got a good mix, and we got top producing agents in here. We have Leslie. We got great agents. Kelly's doing great. Nagne, and you are officially in this office, right? We have you. I'm just making sure. Nagne's here. She's a part of the team. She's had great successes. 3 years in the business now, or how many years? Oh, 2. Almost 2. See, I'm already aging you, Nagne, giving you an extra year. Well, but she carries herself like a professional. If anybody knows Nagne, you know, it's just, we got a great group. So just wanted to hit on a few of those points, give you a little breather. Should we take a little in there? I know, right? Well, let's go. Let's take a little break. You guys make the calls and then we'll finish up. What time are we at? What time are we at? 10:20. 10:20. Okay. So we'll do a little break and then we've got to come up. Anything else that you wanted to hit on before we start? Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. So we'll do, you think another 10 minutes, 10, 15? 10, 15 to cover that, or a little bit more than that? Maybe after 20 minutes. Okay. So we're still, we got it still. About 20 for the content. Are you okay? Do you have anything after this?
I'm good until right after lunch. So.
Okay. So it'll be just a little bit later.
So you were pumped up from yesterday?
Yeah. Liana comes in. Yeah. From yesterday. Yeah.
What?
Trying to figure it out. I know.
Hello, miss.
No. Sally was to like.
Come up, the printer's not right, you gotta get you gotta write, make the flyer, you gotta go set up to go door knock, you gotta set up the signs, you gotta prepare to bring your stuff. So, but all I'm saying is, the actual open house is only 3 hours. You guys make it seem like it's so painful. You come in here and have coffee and donuts for an hour. 3 hours is nothing. And if you could just do, 20 out of 150 opportunities, you're gonna make some kind of an income in this business. And if you're good and you become seasoned, you're gonna double this right off the bat. And then if you become excellent, you're gonna do even, because like I said, I have an 80 to 90% close rate. If I do 20 out of 10, and I'm closing 90, that's 8 to 9 of those instead of 4 or 5. So it's going to be way more of a success rate. Now, the thing that you don't realize is this. So I was doing this $1.3 million listing. And it's 2.5% commission. What is that? Let me give you a number.
25,000.
It's like 65,000.
32.
Oh, yeah, so double would be so 32.5?
Yeah.
Okay. That's just one side. If it's your listing and you're able to double pop it at 5%, it's not sitting, some people take 6% of it. Let's just say 5%, which is typical. You're at 67,000, right? 64, 65,000. That's right, 65,000. That's one sale. If you double side it, you've got about a 20% chance of double siding that. Okay, but the one that I just did, I picked up 3 leads from it. And guess what happens when you're doing a price point at this point? What price point do you think the typical buyer lead that I get out of that's going to be? Over 2, around the same. It could be 2 million. It could be.
Low.
It's going to be at least 900 plus, at least something like that. The ones that I picked up were all 1.3, 1 point. They were similar, but they came there specifically for that home. As a matter of fact, now, because of the internet and the way things are, the likelihood that the people that come from the internet are going to be around that price point. If someone walks in from your signs, they may not know that that's what a price tag you might get at a different price point buyer. But the average is going to be someone in this price point. So I just closed from this one, the open house I did. One, they paid $1.3 million. They got $1.3 million. So this particular one did not work out because this guy ended up, he had a family issue, his job transfer didn't go through, he didn't even sell. So I ended up getting actually 0 on this. But I picked up 3 buyers from it. It wasn't a waste. So my 3 is going to generate, 65 plus another, so it's going to be like almost 90-something thousand or 87,000, whatever it is, just from doing one open house. So when I do my open houses, I try to look at it as I want to try to make $100,000 per open house. So not hard to do. This guy here, this was sold, by the way, I had it in escrow. And then the guy's thing fell apart. So I double-sided it. That was the other thing. So I had 65,000 plus 3 leads. Just sold one and closed right now at 1.3. And Juan and I have one we picked up on our open house, and they're 1.3, 1.4 buyer. So it's going to well exceed 100,000. So if you don't have much going on, this is where your time should be spent. I know these are rough, weird numbers here, but I think you're listening to me and understanding what I'm saying. You guys understand what I'm saying here?
Yes.
Like you get it, right? So,
Ken, what was that situation that you had? It was a few years back. I was working with you. You worked the list, and it was right around the same price point. You pulled like,
oh, tons.
I know, but how many listings did you get from that one listing? And then what did the math come out to? Did you
Well,
double pop?
My record, the one that was crazy, not that one, I know what you're talking about, but I solicited a for sale by owner one time. It turned into 14 transactions. 14 transactions from that one thing. It was literally doing the things that we did, that we teach here. 14 transactions from one open house. That it was a for sale by owner. The one he's talking about, man, it was, I had a 1.3. I sold him a $2 million house. He had to sell a house at the 770. He referred me to 2 people. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's all connected. I haven't even connected the dots that he's talking about.
And I was supposed to work that open house with them.
And he
I
did it.
had and I didn't, you just wrote it in. So do you know what I just told
Yeah,
you?
so-
Right now?
So look,
Close.
I want you to understand that this is not a lot of work. This is a joke. You know, that's the problem that people don't get. My parents moved away, I was 17 years old. Left the country. I was working 60 hours a week. I bought my first house at 21 years old. And I was sleeping 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. And I can tell you, I've punched the clock at every single hour and night. Within a 24-hour period, I punched the clock. That's work. This is a joke. I mean, this is a joke. So I laugh at you people that come in here and don't want to do something like this. It's too much work. It's a joke. That's not work. Like, you have no work ethic. You don't understand. Not you. I'm saying there's a lot of people that come in and don't want to do anything. You can't spend 3 hours of your day, but you walk in here and you just sit around doing nothing, doing what? It's put things in perspective. If I come here, look, the thing that would irk me, I would give a lead to someone and say, all you got to do is drive to Valencia, open the door for them. I'm not driving out there. If average commission would have been 10 grand. If I dropped $10,000 on your desk, you'd probably get in your car and drive. But this is not poker chips. It's not fake Monopoly money. My dad would have kicked my ass if I didn't do that stuff when he worked during the Depression. So this is not easy, but you gotta do the work. You gotta do the fundamental. I'll tell you, these 2 ladies yesterday, door knocking in that cold, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying do that, freeze your butt off, do whatever, but the fact that they still had the incentive and the motivation to do it, and then look at the success. You don't think that someone realizes, actually, I don't know where Jesse's at, over here. You know how many listings he's picked up from door knocking and people go, I wanted you to sell my house because I see how hard you were working. Some young kid busting butt every time, dropping things, then going through the cold weather. That's what generates business. People see that. They don't want some hot shot that never answers the phone. They want someone that's going to work hard for them. They appreciate, especially people that have worked hard in their lives. They see that and they respect that. So that you can earn business like that as well. So look, I'm going to jump in. I know we're going crazy here. We talked about making the money there. The beauty of this whole thing here, if you get a listing from this, you get to do it all over again. So it multiplies. So the little concept. So what I would do, the thing that there was 2 things that helped me out when I got into business. Again, going back 21 years ago, putting things in perspective, I was making $65,000 a year at my regular job when I got into real estate. That would be equivalent to 180 right now. Okay, minimum wage was like $11, $12 or something like that. Maybe less. So my whole point is, what I did is when I got into business, I just wanted to make 65K, and then everything else was great. So it took the pressure off me. So the problem is that when you get into it, you get depressed because you're not doing something every moment. You don't have a lead every single moment. You don't have something going on right now. But you don't realize this is a numbers game. Not every open house is going to be an open home run. And one may produce 4. You're looking at the totality of the whole thing and understand that, hey, when I knock on these doors, it's going to be, they say every 100 door, someone will get a lead out of it. So you have to go through 99 of them. That's the thing. So you have to, well, for me, I would try to make my year's income, and then everything else is gravy. It took the pressure off. Like, okay, that's what I would have made anyway. And then I would do that. So that's what, the other thing was, a lot of people will tell you to set these goals that are massive. And I don't like fallacy like that. I wanted realistic goals. So I made mini goals that would lead to my big goal. My mini goals were these open house things like that. How can I make 100 grand here? And that's what I focused on. All the steps of making this happen. This would lead to the big goal. But someone telling me, put down $8 million you're going to make this year. Just do it. I'm like, never going to happen. That I didn't understand the path to that. So me, and I teach him, is that we take baby step goals. The baby step goals lead to the big goals. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. So let's just give a scenario of each of the open house. So come Monday. Are you getting sick from that
I am
donut?
sick from donut.
Okay, she paid the price. Monday through Wednesday. This is when you're going to prepare for the marketing for your open house. So you got 3 days to do whatever you're going to do. You have time to do that stuff. So Monday through Wednesday, that. I'm trying to spit through this real quick. You're also going to look at, within those 3 days, you're going to look at the switchers. Candace, what I talked about switchers. Okay. What's a switcher? So a switcher is this. Jesse, what's a switcher?
It's a house that you can switch somebody to that comes into your open house. Generally, it has something that your house doesn't have. So if your house doesn't have a pool, it has a pool. If your house is a 2-story, it's a single story. If it's not upgraded, then it has upgrades, but generally similar price point.
So did you hear what he said? So,
Even better when it's vacant, because then you can run right over to the property.
well, we're going to talk about that. But so the switching concept is this. I want you to pretend to be the buyer of the home that you're sitting in, and guesstimate what their response is going to be of the home that you're at. You've seen the home. You want to look at the home before you do the open house, by the way, so you know what you're getting yourself into. So let's just assume it's your listing. You know what your house has and what it doesn't have. So if it doesn't have a pool, you want to look past something that does have a pool. It doesn't have RV. Maybe have it. So you're going to look at a small little radius within and see what's there. And so your open house is here. You're going to look at this. Real small. I'm talking within a mile, no more than 2 mile radius. Okay. In a depleted market like it is now, I tell Jesse to look at all of Simi Valley. It's only 8 miles long. Okay, it's not a big deal. But regularly, if it's a regular, there's a lot of inventory, things are getting back. Doesn't matter. Get a pool of homes that would have something that house doesn't. You have a fixer, one that's fixed up. You have doesn't have a pool, find one that's a pool. Then you need to preview those homes. You want to preview those homes, and the reason why is, but you have to physically go preview. And the reason why you want to do that is when you go on a computer, you're going through it and you're not connecting to it. But when you go into a home, I've done this, and even now to this day, if I just happen to go because someone asked me to go to Caravan or whatever, I walk into that house and I'm like, damn, I didn't know I had that. I didn't know it felt like that. It feel, I didn't know, I didn't feel it. I didn't breathe it. But if I actually like it, and someone comes in and says, yeah, I like your house, but I wish it had this. And you go, bling, I just saw that. And you start talking about it, you're going to be jazzed and excited because you just saw it. You go, oh my God, I got the perfect house for you. And they're going to, then you're believable. It's not like, well, I'm sure we'll be able to find you something. It's a totally different thing. So when you do the open houses, you want to do it with someone else. You want to do it with your lender or another agent. You know, lenders right now, they got no business going on. They're more than happy to help you in prospecting, right? Right? I mean, I don't know who, but you maybe, but he may be busy, but a lot of other lenders, I don't know. Guarantee that people at peak aren't as busy as they were before. They'd be more than happy, somebody would be happy to open house with you. If you know, not all the time, give them some notice, you know, they'll bring some stuff, they'll be able, and it's nice to be able to qualify someone on the spot. So you want to help them, at least get the material from him for the open house. But when you preview these homes and someone comes in your home and they say, I wish it had this, you're taking them that moment to that house. Not tomorrow, not next week, not set the appointment. You got to close. You don't want a pocket full of phone numbers. I used to joke with Brandon. I had friends that would go to a club and pick up get five numbers from girls, but never call. It's like, well, you didn't get a date. Like, you have nothing. You have a bunch of numbers. You got to close. So you have to close that moment. I give this scenario all the time. You go to a dealership. You walk up. You're looking at cars, and the guy says, "Can I help you?" And you go, "Oh yeah, I like this car." Okay, I'll tell you what. Give me your number. I'll call you next week. You're gonna go, I want to buy it. No, that's okay. We'll call you next week. Do you think they're there because they don't want to buy it? I mean, they want to buy a house. Sell them a house. If you take them to the house, two things are going to happen. A, you might sell the house. B, you're building a relationship with that person. There's a big difference when you break that uncomfort, you know, that people are uncomfortable meeting people. They don't want to do it again. So if you build a good enough rapport and you show them something that's in the wheelhouse of what they're looking for, they're probably going to call you again because they don't want to do it again. They don't want to meet a stranger and get in someone's car again. You've just done that. Now they know that this is okay. I can do it again with that person. So it's likely that they're going to continue using you. Okay, so you're also going to be looking for expires. You're looking at the switchers, you're looking at expires, you're going to look at short sales within the area, you're going to look at FSBOs within the area. And lastly, you're going to practice your scripts of what you should be saying to someone if you're new. I don't need to do that anymore, but new people need to do that. So did you guys get that? Switchers, this is Monday through Wednesday, you're preparing your marketing. Switchers, expired listing, short sales, FSBOs. The reason why is when you go door knock, you know what you're going to be. If there's other opportunities there, you're going to approach them differently within the door knocking area that you're going to door knock, inviting them to the open house. So Thursday, you're going to go preview the switchers. And you're going to door knock the radius. And you're going to drop the area as well with an invitation. If you're an advanced agent, like really got this down, you would call the neighbors, which is people use something called Mojo. It gives you the phone numbers. You can actually call the neighbors and invite them. I don't do that, and I'm an advanced agent, but I've seen plenty of success with that. I mean, really successful, but I just don't do that, to be honest with you. You can have a contest with your flyer, offering some kind of drawing. People are more likely to give their correct information and come to try to get a price. So then, and then in the questionnaire, you're going to have, you think about selling, if you want to move, and they'll say, you'll be surprised what you get out of that. And you've got the phone numbers will be right because they want to know the price. Make sure before all that you want to make sure that your listings on the MLS early in the week, not Friday, not Saturday, the day of, because it takes time for the MLS to give the information to Realtor.com, Zillow. So it takes time for it to aggregate. So probably no later than Wednesday should your stuff be Wednesday, Thursday. Your open house should be switched over on the MLS. So Friday, you're going to do social media stuff. You're going to do the post. I'm having an open house. You're going to do an email blast. to your SOI. You're gonna tag on your social media, I should go with before this, but to tag any potential buyers that might like that home that you know, that you're friends with. So if you're doing an open house and it's one of your buyers that still hasn't found the home, tag them on that post. So maybe they'll come by. You can do a Facebook boost. You can actually take your advertisement of your open house and boost it. And I'm not gonna get into what that is, but just do that. Text potential open house buyers and regular buyers. So the only reason why I have it separated is that I have them separated in my CRM. So any potential open house buyers that you met before, text them, invite them again. Any potential buyers, whatever buyers, text them. Now, here's the other note, I made this up. If it's your own listing and it's not selling, then you want to call your fellow agents and invite them. Now, why do you think I don't invite them regularly? Amelia, you know?
Yeah, because you're not gonna get anything out of it.
Right. So you guys get that? If I invite you guys to a listing and I'm trying to double the side, why do I want to invite you at the beginning when I have a 20% chance of selling it myself?
Double end.
I want to double end it. I know, whatever. But if it's not selling, I'm going to say, I love you guys. Come by.
Come by, bring me a buyer.
So you could do that. You could drop a flyer. I've had to do that. I've had to drop flyers. You can give it to your title rep. Your title rep will drop a flyer for you out of the area. So if you have, and then you'd be surprised. People will go, oh, I need that. You know, it's in front of them. You do that. Okay. The day of the open house, we're gonna almost done. You can do Saturday, Sunday, or like I said, the day of the caravan. I would recommend you always do an open house if you're doing a caravan. You never know who can walk in. You're there anyway. So if you're hosting a caravan, put the signs up and have an open house. Okay. So here's the stuff you need to bring. Write this stuff down to your open house. You need a registration book. You need to know the area information, especially the schools. So a lot of times, if you're working an open house and you don't know the area, you better know the schools, because you're going to sound like a complete idiot when there's a lot of people that it's the only reason why they're moving there. So make sure you know the schools. You need to know the comps, and so you know, just check out the comps and what's going on. You need the house flyer, number 3. Lender flyer with special programs, number 4. Some of this stuff is going to be stupid, but make sure you have a pen. You need a chair if it's vacant. You need a table if it's vacant. Water, snacks. COVID stuff if you're going through a COVID close down. Shoe covers if the client requests it. I don't like shoe covers because people can slip. I don't like them, but some clients want them. Bring it. Put a towel in your car. A lot of times you'll spill. You need to clean up. I know some of the stuff sounds dumb, but you need it. Windex, air freshener. Bring that. Put it in your car. Sign-in sheet, which is a registry. I already have that. Notable signs. So if you have things that stick out in the home, you want to put something noting that fact, like that they can't see or you want to depict. It's nice to walk in an open house and you see all these little signs and people appreciate that. The reason why, if you have a nice, that's the other thing is if you want to make sure that if you're doing a high-end home, you don't cheese ball it. Pictures, videos, and the paper, everything, the quality of the flyer is important because the neighbors are coming in, if they're thinking about selling, they want to know what stuff you're doing for them. I've picked up many of listings for that, many of them. And because of my marketing, make sure it's branded all the same. Your signs, main sign, everything should be branded the same. Okay. You want to have some zip ties. Sometimes your signs will break. You need to be able to fix it. That's a pain. Bring some tape. If you're doing open house and you need to tape up or put something on the wall or anything like that, bring tape, especially if you have to put a security code or call for a code. You need to have. Upgrade list. Know what the upgrades are in the house when you're trying to sell the home. If it's my listing, I want to know the utility cost. It's the number one asked question. What are the utilities here? If someone's really serious, especially if you have solar, they're going to ask you, how much is the solar? You know, how much is it? What are the terms? If you have this stuff prepared, you're going to have, save some time. Bring a laptop. You can show people that necessarily maybe they don't want to get in the car with you. You can show them the property, and then maybe set the appointment. Maybe they can't go that day. And say, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's set it up for that. I will either show the property that day, or I will make sure that I'm setting that appointment for the following weekend. 100%. It's and what I say is a canned spiel. Excuse me. But I always say, all I want to do is let's get together. I'll show you 4 or 5 houses. This way I can get a better understanding what it is that you like, what it is that you dislike. And you can say, I like this, I don't like that. This way we can have a better understanding of what we're looking at. And it's a no pressure thing. People are okay with that. So you just put them, you set it up. We'll talk about that. We don't have time right now, but we'll talk about that process. Bring some food, snacks, drinks, and make sure you have something for yourself. Do the open house for someone, set the appointment. Make sure you get their full name. One thing, they put in this, you say, you mind registering? They sign their thing, and you look and they didn't put their phone number. Walk up, look down, and say, what's the best number I can reach at? Don't look at them. They're going to tell you the number. Guarantee it. And if they don't, if they're adamant, like, no, I don't want to give you that, I don't want to give you that, it's okay. But 90% of the time, if you put them on the spot and you're just standing there, they're going to give you that. It's just a stupid trick, but it works. So that's it on that. There's more to the showing and all that process, but it's a general overlay of what needs to happen. Anybody have any questions on that?
I add 2 things
Okay.
that I love to have. This is gonna sound silly. In the back of my car, I always carry toilet paper because there's times where people have to use the restroom in a vacant house. There's no toilet paper. I'm gonna
Really
run
good point.
and they don't come back.
Yeah, add that to the list for sure, 100%.
Like, and a generic listing presentation, because there's been times that I've been at opens. I will close my open at 4 o'clock and be at the listing appointment from that open house at 4:30. So I just take something generic, go on my title app and grab what I need. And at least they feel like I've taken the time to make it special for them.
Good point.
So.
And that's the other thing. If you ever go, when someone says, can you mind stopping by just to look at my home? You better bring everything.
Yep.
Because I've done that to where it was a neighbor. And I thought I had him in the bag. He didn't know me, but he knew I was in the business. And he comes there and I was just talking like we were nonchalant, like it was nothing, not really knowing that he wanted my presentation. And I blew it because he ended up listening with a friend. The guy gave him a huge discount, everything like that. But if I would have sold him on me, the discount would have been invalid, wouldn't have been pertinent. He would have realized the value that I had. Always bring your stuff prepared to do a listing. Don't go there without that. Any other question?
It's good.
This is great, by the way.
Yeah, I just, keep going with it. Just when you talked about comps, there's 2 things. Most people are looking for buyers, look for sellers that are coming in. So switching, you got to be careful with. You got to make sure that they are a buyer and they're not a neighbor that's coming through. So my first question is, are you familiar with the neighborhood? What brings you to the neighborhood, right? Let's say, oh, I live here. So then I know they're a seller. I don't have to say, are you a buyer or seller? I say, are you familiar with the neighborhood? That tells me if they know the area. That tells me if they're coming from out. Always know when you're looking at comps, you need to know the highest comp in that local area. That's either a model match or similar to it. Ideally within the last 6 months. But that's the one thing you have to know because you got to bet that they know what the highest sale in that neighborhood is. These are the things that connect, that create value, where they will actually pick up the phone when you do call them because you'll impress them. Everything that you was sharing these are things that learn into results. from what I've seen from open houses, my probabilities go up a lot when I'm showing them that next property right away.
Yep.
It's not in that first house that they meet me at, it's the second one with the rapport, the comfort, the guard starts coming down. Now they give you their full name and the real number, not the fake number they wrote in, right? But no, Ken, thank you both for your time. I know you put a lot of preparation into that. I know there's a lot more. And we still try to keep it. Thank you all for just sticking in for it. And Tamir, I know you've been patient, so I appreciate your patience too.
No problem.
So let's, if we can all stay a little longer, if you can, so Tamir can share.
I'll keep it
what-
fast.
What he's been doing.
I
Do
promise.
you want to do it from there? Do you want to come up
If you
here?
can just turn that screen on, I'll be able to just pop it on there.
Yeah, let's do it.
By the way, there's some stuff here for you guys, just some tchotchkes, and these are like cool, I don't know what these are, but they're like coffee
Oh, fun.
things and filters, so pick one up if you haven't got one.
Christmas present, right?
Yeah, Christmas present for sure. It's gonna. You guys have coffee in it. Yeah, right.
It's a really nice plan. Like, people sit here.
Oh, cute.
Smile. Do a quick picture real quick. Leslie. Okay. Real quick picture of the group. Thank you guys all for coming in. It's nice to see you hard workers right before the holidays. Coming in and getting to learn all.
Ken wasn't even in
Ken
the
should be
photo.
in it.
What's that?
Ken should be in it.
We don't need that. Let's get Ken. You guys, Ken. You gotta stand up.
What?
They want you in a picture. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3. You got that, Greg? Go. Nice job.
Perfect. Be there.
67 Spanish.
Be there. Be there.
All right, you guys ready to go?
Yep.
You ready, Tamir?
Ready.
Cool, let's do it. All right, guys.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate you guys sticking around. I know this is obviously a long morning to listen to more information, but I wanted to just, before I got into this real quick, just let you guys know, for those of you guys who are new to Centric 21 or thinking about coming in, or obviously have been here for a little while, the feedback that I can give you is I just went to 6 offices over the last 2 days, all of this new kind of venture that we've been involved in. And the common theme that I've seen in every single one is the strength of the team and the manager. So it's a big testament to the people that you guys bring in. It's absolutely incredible. That's the first thing that I noticed, is that every single one of the managers have the best interest of all the agents, and all they care about is helping them with their business. And the training programs are second to none. I've been to a lot of real estate offices, and this brand and this network is one of the best that I've ever seen. And so those of you guys who are thinking about coming here, or those of you guys who have been here for a while, it's amazing because the agents that I met have been with the company forever and they've never left, which is a testament to what you guys are involved in. So that's fantastic. And that kind of goes into what I've been doing. So I've been involved with Peak Finance Company on the mortgage side for 17 years. I think you mentioned you are 23, right?
Yes, sir.
That stage I started. So that's awesome. And it's great to see new people in the industry. It's great to see people who are hustling and getting involved, because it's not easy. When I started in 2006, when I was 23, the business was booming just like it was last year, the year before that. And in 2008, I had the same sort of questions that Ken was posing, which is, what am I doing? How am I going to do business? This market sucks. It's awful. Mortgages are impossible to do. And the year after that, I had the best year. And ever since that, I've had record years from 2008 onwards. So it just kind of goes to say that if you stick with their same sort of methodology that Ken was talking about and everything you guys are involved in, you'll do really well in this industry, but it takes a lot of focus. And so that's kind of how I built my business, is really just developing between agents and wealth managers and CPAs and doing the things that the fundamentals people really talk about. About 5 years ago, I got my broker's license, not because I wanted to be involved in brokerages, but because I wanted the knowledge and I wanted the respect that that sort of thing commands in our business. And I always thrive to be able to tell people, educate yourself, be involved in as many licenses, as many things that you possibly can, because those are the things that will set you apart. Okay, so there's all these different training programs on the origination side, as well on the real estate side. And the more that you guys understand that, the better off you'll be able to serve your clients. So that's a great point to make. This is a little bit about our company. We started off as a mortgage broker in 2001. And about 9 years ago, we transferred over to being a banker, which those of you guys who have obviously dealt with lenders know that bankers are in between brokers and a bank. So we have all the same programs and opportunities as a broker, but we control the process. So we do all the loan docs, we do the funding, we do disclosures, and we're the ones that basically are able to be a lot more nimble than a bank, which might be a little more familiar, but have all the programs and opportunities that a mortgage broker would have. So it gives us a lot more flexibility and a lot more command of the transaction. So this is basically what I want to talk to you guys about, which is what happened in mortgages this year. All right, and what can we expect going into next year? It affected all of you guys, obviously affected us, but affected you guys as well. So Ken was kind of talking about what the issues were with rates and inflation. The good thing, if you guys were involved last year in the industry, hopefully you probably had your best year yet, ever, or close to it. And that was primarily because the market was on fire. I mean, we're talking about a 16.9% appreciation year over year, which was one of the largest in the past 20 years. At the end of last year, the 30-year fixed mortgage was 3.06%, okay, which is what was a big driver as to why houses appreciated, because rates are so cheap. And at the end of last year, the total amount of mortgage origination in the business was 4.4 trillion. At the end of this year, it'll be under 2. So it's a 60% drop off in total originations, which obviously originations are a huge part of real estate. So 80% of your transactions, not more, have a loan. That just goes to show you how much it's affected the market this year. So what happens? Those of you guys who are interested or follow what actually goes on into the economy or economics in general, notice that inflation, which is a big part of drivers of interest rate, kicked up above 2%, which is what the Federal Reserve likes to target at in the summer of last year, okay? And a lot of that was thought to be transitory. So if you guys listen to that term, the transitory thing was, hey, we're just getting out of COVID, and the reason why inflation is kicking up is because everything's opening up, all right? Hospitality is opening back up, restaurants are opening back up, so money's flowing, and so the Federal Reserve was kind of sitting on the sidelines saying it's gonna work its way through, and then obviously Russia and Ukraine happened, which affected other commodities like oil, and all these things kind of jumbled together to cause this mass inflation spike that we started at the end of, or the middle of last year. And so how did that affect mortgage rates? A lot of you guys in the industry or people that are outside think that mortgage rates are tied to the 10-year treasury. They're not, okay? They're tied to mortgage-backed securities, which are bonds, all right? And mortgage-backed securities, just like any investment, are tied to the value of money. So when inflation happens, people who buy mortgage-backed securities sell those off because they expect a higher return. And when they sell those off, mortgage rates go up, all right? And they were kind of waiting for the Federal Reserve to make a move, which was unfortunately slower than it should have been. This is just a kind of a quick recap for those of you guys who want to know what affects mortgage rates or what happens with mortgage rates. So the first is mortgage-backed securities. Those are bonds issued by banks, and then investors buy those, okay? And those of you guys who were around for 2008 know that this was the cause of the real estate crash, is that mortgage-backed securities were packaged up, sold into tranches, and those tranches exploded because they're full of toxic loans. That's changed because most mortgage-backed securities nowadays are tied to government service enterprises, which is like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And so they're a lot a lot more restrictions and a lot more requirements that go into selling mortgage-backed securities. And then there's the 10-year treasury note, which is basically supposed to be like a risk-free asset that the government sells, all right? And that's obviously gone up as well with inflation. And then the thing that you guys probably all hear about the most, or the clients ask, hey, what's the Fed funds rate? Whenever the Federal Reserve raises their rates, which happened again on Wednesday, all right? So whenever you guys hear that, I'm sure like you guys get questions like we do is, hey, they just raised 50 basis points. Does that mean mortgage rates just went up 50 basis points? No. In fact, a lot of times they go down whenever they do that. And the Federal Reserve rate is actually tied to things that affect us all a lot because the prime rate, which is tied to the federal funds rate, affects things like lines of credit, student loans, car payments, car loans, I should say. So all these things are involved in it. And that's why when they change that, there is a direct impact on those items. So what happened with the Federal Reserve last year? So after more than 6 months of inflation, they finally decided that they needed to make a move. So you'll see on this chart, it's kind of hard to read, but the first federal funds rate increase was in March. Inflation started peaking at like 4 or 5% in June. So it took a long time for them to actually make a move. And then when they finally made a move, it was a little bit slower up until the fact that they saw that inflation was like 8-9%. It got really, really, really hot. And at that point, so this entire year, up until Wednesday, I put this slide together a week ago, there was 6 Federal Funds Reserve rates changes for 300 basis points. We're now at 7 with 350. That's unprecedented. So it's 3.5% rate higher. At the beginning of this year, the Federal Funds Reserve rate was 0.25%. We're now 4.5. Okay, so that's a crazy amount of interest rate raises in a very short period of time. And unfortunately, because they started so low, or so late, I should say, the inflation kept on rising. The average 30-year fixed rate, as I mentioned at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year was 3%. In October, the average 30-year fix was 7.25%. Okay, that's a more than doubling in again, a very short period of time. So obviously, that's what affected a lot of the real estate. So what can we expect for next year? So at this point, fortunately, it looks like inflation has at least leveled out. I don't want to say that it's started to come down yet because it's too early, but the fact of the matter is the last 2 reports have been positive, and many of you guys who are involved in transactions now have seen that interest rates actually have started to come down a little bit, which is good. All right, we're still a long ways off from where we were, but we're in the right direction. But what happened with the Federal Funds Reserve rate that they are trying to do now is slow down money, but what they're trying to avoid is a recession, right? And unfortunately, it looks like that could be a potential of what we see heading into. So there's a great indicator that we like to follow in the bond market, and that's what's called the 10-2 inversion. So it's the 10-year note and the 2-year note. And whenever they invert, the 2-year note becomes higher, that's when it's a leading economic indicator of a recession. So I want to show you guys what that kind of looks like. So this is since the mid-1970s. There's a middle line that's a 0 line. Okay, you'll see that anytime it's dipped below the 0 line, all right, when it's inverted, we've had a recession. And this is what it looks like on this chart. So all these dark lines right here, you'll see without fail, every time that we've had an inversion, we've had a recession that's followed. The last time we had it, that little small one, that was the beginning of COVID. Small blip, all right, but still a recession, all right, for a very short period of time. You'll see at the very end, this was actually as of 3 months ago, it inverted again, and now we're well below that amount. Okay, we're actually closer to what it was in the 1980s. I'm not going to say that we have the same sort of recession as the 1980s, but it goes to show you. The good news for all of you guys and for us is that housing historically, even during recessions, has been very strong. All right, with the exception of one time, and many of you guys were involved in that. But since the 1960s, even during recession, housing prices have either stayed the same or accelerated. Obviously, in 2008, the recession was caused by real estate. All right, as opposed to some of the other recessions and potentially this one not necessarily being caused by real estate. And you'll see that obviously we've had a very large incline over the past few years, a huge amount of appreciation. Right? So a lot of the questions that you guys may be getting now with the turmoil of high interest rates and potential recession is, should I wait to buy? And there's a very good saying in the mortgage industry that we always like to tell our clients, which is marry the house and date the rates. All right, and that means it doesn't make a difference what interest rates are now. Not only the fact of the matter, are you getting into a house and you're building wealth, appreciation, tax advantages? But the fact of the matter is you can always refinance. And a lot of people have taken advantage of that. It doesn't make a difference if rates do improve or not. The fact of the matter is that historically, and as you've seen this, housing prices over a certain amount of time, usually 10 years, will always go up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that to piggyback on what he's saying, if you take a scale from 1 to 10 years, from year 1 to year 10, and you take the highest peaks in real estate, as far as going up, and the lowest dips, real estate always climbs 3% every year because of inflation. So you can buy a house now, and I guarantee you in 10 years, it's gonna be worth more, regardless of anything that happens, because of what he's saying.
Yeah, even those people who bought in 2007 who were obviously concerned, but ended up holding out and didn't short sale, okay, and wrote it out. 2017, 10 years later, we're doing very well. Okay, and we're able to sell for much higher than they bought it for. And that's when, everybody and their mother was getting a mortgage. Okay, so the market it plays itself out. Obviously, it's scary during those time periods, but even then, that's an important thing. So this is an example, and this is off of a great program that we use. This is, I know it's hard to read, but this is a listing for Simi Valley agent, Century 21 Simi Valley agent has right now for $849,000. It's a comparison about if you rent it for the next 9 years versus buying this property with 20% down and today's mortgage rates. Not a year ago, today's mortgage rates, you will have had $22,000 more in your pocket over the next 9 years, and you will have gained almost $700,000 in net worth. And that's a combination of appreciation and home value. That's a combination of tax savings, and that's after taking into consideration selling the property with a 6% commission. That's all that stuff. So if a buyer is looking in and saying, wow, why should I buy right now? Rates are still high, they may come down, we're gonna hit a recession. Are you gonna rent and throw away that money over the next, God knows how long? I had this objection last year when rates were at 3%. Oh, I think they're gonna come down to 2 or 1. Like, who cares? What does it make a difference? This is what you're losing by not buying and owning the house. Thank you, that's much better.
Okay.
There you go. So this is a great program, and I'll kind of talk about this in a second, but this is available on any listing that you guys have. So if you guys want to compare it to what a buyer who's maybe coming in and giving you pushback, about, hey, why should I buy? I'm just kind of browsing. This is what you're losing by not buying.
How do the agents access that?
All they need to do is send me an email with the listing address, and I'll send them back this thing.
Perfect.
It takes into consideration all the rental comps in the area. It takes into consideration what it needs to qualify for this sort of a house. So it puts in their tax bracket already based on the qualification. So all these things are built in. It's all in there.
Do you guys understand? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. He'll share his email for sure, but and he'll probably pass out cards.
Yep.
I'm assuming.
Yep. Have that.
Do you guys understand how valuable that is? What do you think when you meet someone right now, what are they probably saying? I can't buy, the market's crazy. Why should I buy? And then you show them that's pretty convincing. So you need to utilize the tools that this guy's offering, not this guy, but sorry. But I just don't know your name. Tamir, sorry. But I sit through a lot of lending stuff. I know a lot about loans, and the fact that he's put this together for you, it's really valuable. And I can tell based on what he's saying, he knows what he's talking about. Invite him to your buyer consultations. Give him notice. Am I speaking on the line? I'm sure you'd be happy to help him, right?
We can do them on Zoom.
But you can
too.
do a Zoom call. You could have him as one in your back pocket when you meet with people. Because if I sit down and someone shows me that and I want to buy a house and I'm scared, that's going to help me feel more comfortable. 100%.
I was doing this back in 2010 when the market was really bad and sending this out. And actually, past few years, actually went back and looked at this with clients, and I said, "How happy are you that you bought your property?" They're like, those are the clients that stay with you forever, because you show them this, so they know exactly what they're getting into and obviously what the benefits are. So, what are we looking into for 2023, and what are the things that we can help you with? So the first thing on here, some of the programs that we offer. Has anybody ever dealt with a renovation loan?
203K?
So this is the home style version of the 203K, but the 203K is one of them. So this is a program that it just boggles my mind that people don't know about, okay, from the real estate side, because it's absolutely incredible. The first thing I mentioned on there is that this allows you to be able to finance the cost of renovations, including an ADU. ADUs in California are obviously one of the biggest things, and ADUs are 100% financeable with this, okay? And this is a loan that allows you to do 5% down, up to the conforming loan limit, which in Ventura County, where we are, is $948,000. So if you're looking at a $700,000 property that needs a lot of work, say it needs $200,000 worth of work and they want to add an EDU, as long as the loan, including the renovations, doesn't exceed that, 5% down. At today's mortgage rates, I'm not talking about some crazy high construction rates or whatever. So these are great programs, and I'm one of the few people in the state of California that have actually closed these in the past few years. Because they're specialty programs, they require a management company to be involved, but we handle all that stuff for you. So if you're dealing with a purchase and you have a client who is maybe looking at properties and they're just like, wow, you know, I'm looking at these other ones, this property, I can't even get it financed because it's in such bad condition, renovation loan. All right, and we close these within standard 30-day escrow periods.
So listen, to add to your arsenal, based on what he's saying right here, you guys have, there's a lot of cash sitting on that sideline right now. Even though the market's doing whatever, people have a lot of money in their pockets. So you have a lot of clients that want investment properties. They want a place to park their money in something that's tangible because everything else is tanking. With that loan, and I'm sure he can figure it out, not only are you able to buy the house that needs renovation, he's saying you can build another house. Well, guess what? For someone who wants to park their money, not only am I buying a rental home, I'm buying 2 rental homes. And I'm getting it for nothing. I don't know if it's not, you have to be owner occupied on this?
Nope.
Okay,
Owner
so,
occupied second homes or investment properties.
so that's gold. If you're a non-owner occupied, meaning you don't have to move into it, as an investor, I'm gonna buy something that's maybe not selling, it's really beat up, that I can negotiate down. But if it's got the property to potentially build another property on it, the rental income will far exceed the payment of that mortgage in today's market. So I'm sure you probably can draw up a chart on that, what it'll yield off of that. You want to utilize those type of tools. Sorry to interrupt.
Ah, I do presentations just on this program. I've been doing them for years because it's amazing and a lot of people don't know about it. And the great thing about this program is there's like no limit. You can finance a pool, that you can finance landscaping. Okay, 203K program does not allow that. So this is a lot more robust than that. It gives you a lot more opportunities. You can literally tear down an entire house to one wall and build it up from scratch with this program, as long as there's one existing structure. So there's a lot of great stuff about this, and hopefully one day you guys will allow me back and I'll be able to do a presentation on that. So I'd love to be able to make sure that you guys have that in your arsenal because it's huge, especially now when there's such low inventory out there on the market that you want to find a property that may need work and your client can finance it. So that's a great program. The other program, all QM, those of you guys who've ever dealt with alternative financing, bank statement loans, that sort of thing, this has been 50% of my business this year. Okay, because the market shifted and interest rates are so much higher. At one point, the standard 30-year fix was only 2% off of private financing, hard money loans. That's how close it's got. So the margins have shrunk between private financing and the standard secondary market, which is conventional loans. So these are becoming much more prevalent. So if you have clients who weren't able to qualify before, but the way the market is now, this is the way things have gone.
Keep in mind, there's probably stipulations on the escrow time period. I don't know in this program, but I'm assuming that they'll give you the rest of the loan after the unit's built. You'll probably need a couple of appraisals or something.
No, so the great thing
How's
about
that
these
work?
programs is they're very much similar to conventional loans. Because there's so many more investors who have come back who are now buying these programs, they're able to sell them much quicker and they require a lot less paperwork. Like bank statement loans don't require tax returns. So I don't have to wait for the IRS to validate your tax returns or any of that kind of stuff. I'm literally going off of deposits. Whatever the client deposits into the bank account, that's their income. So it's a lot easier to qualify. The DSCR program, has anybody ever done commercial real estate here? Have you sold any commercial? Okay, that is commercial real estate transitioned into residential. All they care about is the cash flow of the property. They don't care about the income. They don't care about the assets. They don't care about anything else. If that property cash flows, that loan is doable for an investor.
How long is the escrow time period?
I just closed a bank statement loan in 21 days.
You get the money, you get the house, and they'll give you the money. You don't get a check, they probably,
It's the same as a regular loan transaction. So you're going into escrow, let's say 30 days, we're qualifying them off of bank statements. We're closing the transaction, they wire the funds, just like any
how
other.
do they know the value of the ADU?
So, oh, you're talking about the home style loan?
Yeah,
Oh, the home style loan, okay, so
sorry, you're
That's okay.
confusing me.
that's okay. The home style loan, so basically with that loan, what you're doing is you get a contractor in place, okay, typically a GC. And then that person will give you a bid. That bid goes to a management company. Process takes about 2 or 3 days. And then that bid gets approved. That bid gets transferred to the appraiser. The appraiser appraises the property subject to, meaning the value of the property in the future, and that's what you're lending on.
Yeah, that's why I remember.
And the general contractor, and the management company, you guys.
No, so the buyer chooses the general contractor.
the management companies.
Management companies through us, but the buyer can choose any general contractor. Someone in my last meeting asked me if the buyer themselves can be a general contractor. The answer technically is no, but they can provide a sub. And that sub could be the contact person.
So, and I have somebody who wants to present here on exactly what he's talking about, the general contractor that does the ADUs. So we'll have him come in soon. We'll probably
Yeah.
have you join us with that too.
Yeah, we partner
So
with
we
a lot
can
of
put your time into it.
We should probably stop him and bring him right back next week, because he's got really good information,
Yeah.
and it's been too long. We don't want to miss what you're offering.
Okay.
I don't mean to
How-
cut you
how
off.
much- How much more do you have?
I'm almost done.
Okay, we'll wrap this. We're definitely.
Yeah.
You need to come back and
think we're
just
gonna have
talk
you back.
specifics of
No
that.
problem. I'll jump through the rest of the programs because I really just wanted to touch on this last slide,
Right.
which is really just what we offer in terms of marketing presence and helping you guys. So if you guys are familiar, hopefully you guys are now at this point with this new transition and all these new companies, there's now 38 real estate offices associated with Century 21 up and down the California coast. I visited 6 of them yesterday. Okay. So there's so much to be involved aside from just the real estate side, but I'll just touch on a couple things. So on each one of the closings that we do with you guys at Century 21, we automatically post it on social media. We talk about the transaction, what the amazing things that we're involved in as you as an agent, and we tag you so that it automatically goes out to your sphere of influence. Okay, you guys don't need to do anything. We already provide that. We already make sure that you guys are posted on there, and obviously that we work together. That program that you just saw, so the buy versus rent, that's a program called MBS Highway. I actually just had it on my laptop. That we offered you guys free of service. Okay, if you guys ever wanted to be able to use some of those buy versus rent programs, we can provide that right away. Any of you guys who've been in the business probably have heard of List Reports. List Reports is a service that's automatically sending you marketing things the second that your property hits the MLS. This is in addition to whatever Century 21 provides you from a marketing standpoint. It tells you about the neighborhood, tells you about the schools, tells you about everything. Automatically goes out, goes to your social media, and you can print it up for your open houses. Okay, and that's free. It's just the only thing is it only can go for one loan officer per one realtor. Meaning if you've already been using with someone else, you'd have to either terminate that relationship or obviously be involved with us moving forward. On every transaction you guys have a listing on, this has been huge this year. We've offered to cross-qualify all the buyers for free and make sure that they are aware that they're going into a property with a good loan. The last thing you guys want to do, especially in today's market, is get a buyer, maybe just that one buyer instead of the 10 that you had at the beginning of the year, and they fall out of escrow. You've just wasted 3 weeks of your time. So we don't, at the end of the day, if we're involved in the transaction or not, as long as we can preview that buyer for you and let you know, hey, looks good, or this is the pitfalls, we have that peace of mind, and you guys have that peace of mind to make sure that it's going to go down. And the last thing is, with the same ownership that we now have, okay, with the finance company and all these different real estate offices, if you guys have used relocation services, we have that option before. We're licensed in 4 states, so if your client is listing and moving out of the states, if they're in one of those 4, we can definitely help you with, okay? And we have our own 1031 exchange company, we have our own commercial division, okay? We have our own foreclosure division. In 2009, we had the largest short sale company in the nation, high short sale. Okay, you say the words distress in front of our owner, he gets giddy. Okay, so if you guys want to know more about REO sales, short sale sales, all that kind of stuff, let us know. We actually have people who have dealt in 1 month in 2009, we did 900 short sales. And we absolutely destroyed that market. We actually really like distress sales. We like a distress market.
Told you they were salivating.
Yeah, no, it's true. So I just want to present this to you guys. I appreciate your time. I wanted to make sure that you guys have my contact information. If you have any questions about anything going on in the market, if you have any questions about your buyers, let me know. I'll leave some cards. definitely be back. I've been to many of the offices already, and I'm just looking forward to actually getting to know a lot of you guys and hopefully working together on something in the near future. So, that's it.
One final point with Tamir, so thanks again for coming,
Sure.
that was awesome. And if we can get some of those slides, if you're comfortable sharing with that, we can use those for our listening presentations. It was before, just giving you guys a little bit of a history, before C21 Everest, when it was the prior company, right, to that, we had access to something similar to what Tamir's doing, okay? And especially hard money loan situations, what you're gonna see is you have to be a little bit more creative. And don't just because whoever you're working with, and this isn't to say anything about them, but they say no, it doesn't mean, like Ken said earlier, that's the end of it. Call Tamir, and we have access to money now, hard money situations and other things that may give somebody an opportunity to get the house that they want. Because that's the key, is they have to find it. There's always a way. There's always a way. So reach out. It's awesome to have this because we haven't had this. We haven't had it in 5 years. And so it kind of ties your hands up, but sometimes you need a Hail Mary and then you want to give a call and find out. You can tell when somebody's sophisticated and they know what's out there. I'm telling you, it's going to help you put some transactions together. And now you're a hero. And it happened in one situation with me where my go-to person couldn't do it. It wasn't his fault. It was right after COVID hit. Non-QM loans, everything froze. They were all shutting down. So he calls me up and the sellers wanted a 40-day escrow for their tax purposes. We could have closed on 30, no issues. COVID hits and nobody's expecting. We've had fires hit. We've had all these different things happen. And now all your traditional brokers and people, they say, there's nothing we can do. This deal is going to fall apart. Your buyer now, in my situation there, was a single mother. She's about to get her home on her own and do it. And my go-to loan guy saying, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. We can't do it. I had a connection. I didn't have Tamir at the time, but I had somebody else through high school that privately was able to fund and do the transaction for this buyer. And you become a hero for something. And they're like, thank God somebody put me in touch with you. You know what I mean? And this happened. It's the one and only time it's happened for me. But I know how critical it is to have somebody like Tamir. So spend some time if you get some time. I'm not saying it, and I hear it all the time. I've heard it before. Oh, well, you're paid to say that. You all, anybody who knows me knows I'm not going to promote something I don't believe in. But I also know when I come across professionals that know what they're doing, and we need as much help as we can to be able to help our clients. So I just wanted to give that last plug with you. But thank you, Tamir.
Thank you guys.
Excited about working together and what we're going to be teaching and training in the future. So we'll set the next one up. But yeah, you guys definitely get some cards and let's rock and roll. But this was a long class. I hope it was worth the time here. It's definitely a good way to start focusing the right way moving forward with what we got.
What's for lunch?
I don't know.
More bagels.
What do we get? Yeah, we got bagels.
Told me you were giving me steak and lobster.
Appreciate you coming in.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm glad you guys all made it. This was definitely a good